The house is a Second Empire house built in 1873. We purchased it in 1998. It was a wreck, and then we moved in 2004 after extensive renovations. The house originally primarily depended upon the fireplaces for heat. Each room had doors, so when the fireplace was going, they were closed to keep the heat in. Very early, there was some electricity here, but it was primarily, the illumination was through a gas system. The house is still plumbed for gas. There are gas lines in the walls, and in some places, I've got the lighting back there. No gas, though. When we renovated the house, we had to take down most of the ceilings. And on top of the ceiling joist, there was soot, lots of soot, piled up as high as it could go. That would be about 3/4 of an inch high. And at first I wondered, where in the world did all of this come from? And then I thought for a moment, oh my goodness, the coal heat and the gas. It had to have some effect, because if there's that much soot, it had permeated everything. If it had permeated the ceiling and went up into the attic area, my goodness, your lungs must have been full of it too.
Darrell Bigham, in one of his books, actually documented that 1/3 of the deaths in Evansville at 1900 were based on respiratory illness. Respiratory problems because of coal particulates. And again, much of this was concentrated in the winter months. That would happen to a greater extent because of the homes, then also contributing to the quality of air and the air pollution that would have been going on through coal.
Well, diagnoses weren't quite as good, but indeed people didn't live as long. That certainly was a factor. There were a lot of diagnoses of consumption, and could that have been cancer? Perhaps. Could that have been emphysema? Many things were lumped into categories that really didn't accurately describe what was going on, but certainly air quality in the home was an issue.
From a lot of historians' perspectives, they look back on it and see how bad it was. I don't get a real sense for what people were thinking at that time. I mean, coal was a necessity. Coal was how you made money, made it possible to have a job, to own a factory, and to heat your home. And so I don't have a real sense of anybody talking about the urgency of doing something about it during that period, although certainly there was consequences as far as health considerations were concerned.
Coal furnaces were in use, particularly in rural areas, well into the 60s. I remember that transition personally.
Unfortunately today, we still use coal to a great extent, but how it's scrubbed and how it's generated and how its use is much cleaner than it used to be today. Today it is cleaner than it was back 120 years ago or so. So we've advanced in that way, but certainly back in that era, air pollution was a challenge for Evansville and other parts of the country.